Okay. Hello. Okay, we are back. A little, minor technical difficulties. Minor.
Hopefully you guys can hear us because I cannot hear myself. So hopefully you guys can hear us. But yeah, going back to how we started, we're going to be talking about mental health today, people. So we're going to be getting a little bit deeper into, what it's like being a college student, what it's like being a college student during a pandemic. We're going to hit a bunch of different topics.
Well, I want to just start off, how are you doing? Since you mentioned, college students,
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Oh my God, I don't know if I feel like it's just me until I go on Twitter and I realize that everyone feels the same way. I feel drained, overworked. And when I can't complain really, because when I say it out loud, it sounds ridiculous. Like, oh yeah, online learning, sitting on Zoom all day is so hard, right? I feel like I sound like a snowflake, but really though, it's taking a toll on me. Until I go on Twitter, then I'm like, okay, I see a few other people.
Dude, it's taking a huge toll on me. I'm such an in-person class learner, where
Yes.
I'm very active, and I have the attention span of a squirrel. Literally, someone will snap in my face and I'll be like, oh, what's going on?
Yeah, and
I'll be distracted.
I realized I have no discipline. Because I used to have school hours where I knew for a fact I was going to be in this building on the main campus, so I would have to do my work. You know, I'm not going to sit in the SGA suite and go on YouTube all day. You know what I mean? But being home is so many other temptations, and I don't know what it is about online learning, but it's worse. It's so boring.
I feel like I'm not learning what I should be learning. I'm just I'm memorizing.
Doing assignments.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Just
submitting it.
Also, why am I getting way more assignments than I ever have in the past?
Girl.
Ever have in the past. And I'm looking at this whoa, where did this come from?
I think they think it's easier for us, so they're let's just, hit them with more assignments.
But here's the thing, we get told, as students, you're please bear with us, we're trying, this is so new to us, and you're being so understanding, you're yeah, no, that makes sense, but then if you're so new to it, where are these assignments coming out from? Who's making it up? Because it must not be you, since you're struggling too.
No, I think that some professors realize I have to grade all of these assignments, right? And this is what we were talking about. There's one class that we do assignments, and I haven't heard one feedback about those assignments yet. Okay, so it kind of feels like I'm doing work just to say that I did it, submitted it, and okay. I'm not getting anything in return, saying oh, you understand this topic, or no, you didn't understand this correctly, or yeah, you made a good point here. So I don't feel my proof that I'm learning is being evaluated. So it makes me even more lazy. I don't want to say lazy, but less motivated to try my best.
Here's the thing, you said it's not being evaluated or whatever, but when you think about what education should be, education should be you willing to learn, you wanting to learn, right? But our education system, American public, you've been through the public school system, right?
Yep.
Just in general, we need appreciation. We need to be proved that oh, you did great, you did this. We don't learn for the purpose of wanting to learn for ourselves.
Yeah, it's for the gratification.
Yeah, so where's that passion to want to learn?
That is true. That is true. And you know what I realized is that there's some classes where I don't feel that way. Sitting in the Zoom class, I'm this isn't that bad. Even coming into school for the QFlex model isn't that bad for that one class. But there are some, and it's the ones that I'm not as interested in. Plus the fact that I'm not getting any sort of feedback from professors oh, yes, you are understanding. It's just kind of submit. That I'm just why am I even sitting here? I'm not going to lie, I do not pay attention. I sign into Zoom, camera off, mute, and play Among Us. Shout out Among Us. Guys, if you want to play with me, let me know.
Yeah, you'll easily win because she sucks. But yeah, so fine.
Oh, wow.
Who said that?
Speaking about mental health.
Who said that.
You're making it worse. No, kidding. Let's talk about, the stigma behind mental health, because I feel even just talking about it, I think it's getting better, but I think it's still bad, if that makes sense. To certain disorders and to certain disorders, people are very understanding of it. I feel depression, anxiety, those ones are people are very understanding about it. But then when you start moving on to other disorders, people have such like a stigma, stereotypes, you know what I mean? And I feel like, especially now where we as college students are dealing with so much, not only the pandemic, but the, you know, social justice issues that are going on. And then you add on top of the fact that like you might be a you know, a person of color. So it really affects you. Or even if you are, you know, a part of other groups that are marginalized, you know, we're in an election season, like you're putting all this on top of us, on top of the fact that we're seniors.
And we don't even know if we're going to get a job after this, because do you see the world? My thing is, and I was talking about this topic like with a group of people yesterday and today, like the world doesn't want to stop, but I think we just need to like stop.
We need a
like
break.
It needs to be like, yo, we're in a pandemic. The thing is, we're working around the pandemic when we should be fixing the issue.
That's
right?
what I'm saying. It never makes sense to me how, I mean, we're kind of moving on away from mental health, but that's okay. We'll come back, people. But it like shocks me that, you know, the U.S. claims to be, you know, the #1 country in the world. We're all this, we're all that. But then when it comes time to fixing an issue, we never seem to have like the solution. We have Band-Aids, which I think is what we're doing right now, is a Band-Aid solution. But what happens if this doesn't go away next year, which I think it's going to take a long time, because creating a vaccine and then going through the testing process,
let alone the vaccine, we're talking about people not caring about, we've always been so like, if we talk about like American pride, you know, like we love to proud to be American, but we're so individualized. We only care for ourselves. We're very like selfish towards ourselves. We're like, well, I'm not gonna wear a mask because I don't want to. Not saying you don't care about anyone's health outside of you, right? And like that's where herd immunity comes. We're like, well, I'm not sick. Yeah, you're not sick because like, yo, I'm wearing my mask, they're all wearing their masks, and like, or even like I'm vaccinated, like, you know, and that's where like people are so individualized. They're like, I don't care, like selfish, I only care about myself right now. No,
I agree. And, you know, I think that is very much like telling of the way that we tend to handle certain situations. Thinking about like when people, you know, come out maybe saying like, hey, like I need help. I'm going through something, you know, I'm having these thoughts, like I need help and stuff like that. And when they do it, I feel like it's very rare for someone to be very understanding. Like that's a very rocky situation. And I think that the reason why people don't reach out to others about that stuff is because like they don't expect people to be empathetic about it. You know, it's like we'll see people say stuff and post stuff, but no one will actually address it until like it's too late. And let me tell you, the solutions that they give us, I feel like are not solutions. They're Band-Aids. I think that's the theme for tonight. Agree. Not being real solutions, just Band-Aids. I have a personal experience that I'm willing to share. So, you know, I figured out that I had to go back to therapy. You know, like I said, it's been a lot. And, you know, I'm a psychology major, so I'm not, like, closed off to that stuff. I'm very open to it. But the one thing that I'm always a little bit iffy about is the medication portion of it. Just because of side effects, you know, I hear stories from other people, and, you know, that just makes me a little nervous. So I go in and I'm saying, okay, I'm anxious. I'm having issues with motivation. I'm not as motivated as I used to be. I'm having trouble sleeping, and like my eating is very disordered, like it's not regular, right? So I have 4 issues. You know, and the psychiatrist was very nice. He was very kind and stuff like that. I was recommended to go to him, so he was very sweet. But then he gives me the solution, which is like this anxiety medication. I forget the name of it, but you know, one of the big ones. And he's like, okay, but before we say like let's put you on this and stuff like that, I need to tell you about the side effects. And people, the side effects of this medication included increasing all 4 of the issues I was complaining about, right? So it was like, oh, it can cause insomnia. It can cause
increasing.
Yeah, these are the side effects: insomnia, disordered eating, like lack of motivation because you're kind of like sleepy. It makes you like tired and stuff like that. Oh, it said that it was gonna decrease your libido. You wouldn't. You could have a chance of like not being able to orgasm, stuff like that. Diarrhea. All these other things, headaches. And he's listing, and listen, the list was at least 20 different things, and it wouldn't stop. And I'm sitting there like, oh, hell no, I'm not taking that. Like, I came here for 4 problems, and after I take that, I'm going to leave with possibly 25.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean that it's obviously going to happen, you know what I mean? But I was like, I'm a little nervous about that. And then comes the fact that he tells me that it doesn't start working right away. It takes 6 weeks, and then I will know if it worked or not. But there's like also other complications where you can be like not responsive to certain medications. So like you might be switched out of one and have to start the 6 weeks all over again. So it was a lot. So I was a little nervous, a little anxious. Mm-hmm. And that was like the first time where I had like the instance where I was being prescribed something. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, I need time to think about this because I'm not sure how to go in. So that's what I'm talking about, just a Band-Aid solution, you know? Because it's like, okay, is it actually going to make me feel better?
But I think this is not to, like, come at, like, what your psychiatrist is saying, but, like, I think, like, medication does work for some people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's, like, I don't know, like, I think aside from medication, there is also, like, a different way to approach it, like having, like, being able to, like, talk to someone about it, being able to, like, there's, like, so many factors that play into it, and
exactly.
I think, like, we tend to, like, go on, like, this one thing will fix us, and that's it.
Exactly.
You know?
Let's talk about, I mean, you brought up some great points. So 4 of the big ones that I know, right, of alternatives is therapy, meditation, yoga, and self-care. So do you partake in any of these activities? If so, which one?
So
Tell us about it.
I want to also, like, before I even jump into this, because I don't partake in any of those, because
really?
self-care is, like, I just found out, I thought shopping was self-care. No, I found out that's
addiction.
That's bad. Yeah, I saw, like, a TikTok where they're like, oh my God, what did he say?
No, I'm not gonna lie, it actually is.
Really?
It's like the same as gambling.
He said, oh my God, it's same as gambling? Hold on, I'm, like, looking for the TikTok guy, so, like, hold on. Because he's like, behaviors that many don't recognize as self-harm. And the first thing was, like, overspending. And I said, my literally go-to, like, mantra is, like, money comes back. It's okay.
That was one of the questions that I got asked during my evaluation was, oh, do you do, like, extra spending without having, like, without needing to?
Oh, well, yes.
And I was
that's all I do.
No.
No, see, okay, but I want to... The reason I feel like I don't partake in, like, these 4 lists, I guess, like, I grew up... I'm Pakistani, right? So, my parents came from Pakistan, and, like, while my mom did grow up, like, her teen years here, like, they're still, like, very much, like, Pakistan mentality, you know? So, like, they, like, mental health and, like, the brown community, of, like, speaking for myself, like, that's not a thing. Like, they say, you'll be like, Mama, like, I'm like, really sad right now. Then be happy, brother. Like, I don't know what you want me to do. Like, dice roll, like, what's going on? Like, you know, like, what do you mean? So, like, mental health really isn't as talked about, but I have, like, noticed that, like, the younger generation of, like, not only Pakistani people, but, like, Indian people, Bangladeshi people, like, just speaking for South Asians in general, like, the younger generation has become more open to it, more aware, like, going through, like, the stuff that we go through, like, even you as, like, a black woman, like, you must go through way more than I could possibly go through, you know what I mean? So, like, you know, like, it's hard, like, on your shoulders, and you don't realize, like, wait, like, what I'm going through, like, people don't even have to worry about it, but I can't physically make myself go to therapy or physically, like, do, like, yoga or, like, this and that, because I would feel like, just, like, the way I grew up, like, I'd feel like I'm not, I know this is not what I'm saying for people who go to therapy, but for me personally, I'm like, oh, like, I could handle it. What do you mean? I could handle this.
Yeah.
I could handle, like, throw anything in my, even, like, you said this, like, I have an exam tomorrow, and Izzy was, like, a little exposing, and I was just, like, trying to do my homework, like, and, like, when I get pretty serious when I'm doing, like, my work, and he's like, if you're stressed, bro, like, we don't have to do this. And I'm like, no, we can do this. Like, it's fine. Like, I just have to do this real quick, and we're good. And so, like, that's why, like, for me, like, those 4 things don't, like, come up, because I grew up in, like, such a, like, mentality where it's like mental health isn't a thing, which I am aware, like, I'm not trying to say, like, that for people at all, because I literally am, like, the biggest, like, go push your own advocate. Yeah, like, go therapy, like, go do this. Like, I support whatever, but, like, you know, when you have stuff for yourself.
Yeah, no, of course. And, you know, I guess that goes back to, like, cultural stigma that we have towards mental health, which I think that I'm also Brazilian, so in the Brazilian community, I don't know, it's not really talked about. I don't think that, like, there's, like, this huge stigma about it, but it's kind of like they do have the toxic masculinity. So there's that aspect of it. And then in the Black community, it's, like, not really a thing as well. And specifically for Black men, that's, like, unheard of. I, you know, remember having conversations with my Black guy friends, and they were explaining to me how it wasn't until they started going to college where they were away from, you know, their family and how they grew up. So, like, they kind of were able to make their own decisions that they went to therapy. And like you said, it's not something that, you know, it works for everyone necessarily, but I do have to say, says the psych major, that it is something that you should try. Because I think that speaking to a stranger who has no biases towards your life, doesn't know anything.
I have trust issues.
Has a good, but they have a good perspective of the situation.
But I don't feel like internally, I'm like, oh, someone's probably going through it way worse than me. My issues aren't the biggest thing. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And I think that that's what we need to learn to do, is to not compare our struggles with others. Yeah. Because something that you may think might be small is actually really big. And someone might look at you and be like, wow, if I was going through that, I would not be carrying myself the way she carries herself. You know what I mean? So it's hard because, like you said, there's trust me, way worse things going on. But at the same time, those are your battles, you know?
Because I was, one of our mutual friends, right, his mom's a psychiatrist at an elementary school, right? And so I asked him, this was earlier today, I asked him, like, do all students get to see a psychiatrist? And he was like, no. And I was like, that, like, when I was growing up, like, only people who went to the psychiatrist or, like, the social worker or anyone, like, to talk was kids who were, like, struggling in school or, like, who were, like, quote, bad, you know, like, they acted out during class. But in my head, like, now, as an adult, I'm like, kids should be able to go see, like, the psychiatrist, anyone at school, like, and not have, like, a bad quote stigma around, you know what I mean? Just even like it's seen as like, oh, you're a bad kid, that's why you're going there.
Exactly. And even if it's not, I think the term you mean is school psychologist.
Yes, sorry.
But no, you good. But even if they can't go to one specifically, because they only have one, which I think is the other issue. Like, we should not have more resource officers inside of schools. We should have more therapists, more counselors, people that are there to help teach how to communicate, how to express your feelings. But I think that there needs to be a course that teaches social learning, like how to deal with your emotions, how to talk out your problems, how to deal with situations, learning to cope, learning to forgive, stuff like that. Like, just emotional intelligence needs to be taught to kids, because that's when it's the easiest to kind of start them already with good values and kind of like a good foundation for, like, the rest of their life. I am a tutor at the Boys and Girls Club, and they, you know, take their classes there. And I saw one of my students who had, like, a quick, like, emotional learning assignment, and it was just teaching them what empathy was, what does it mean to forgive. Like, and I thought that was such a good idea, you know, to kind of show them what is the correct way to, like, deal with the way you're feeling, how to address the situation at an early age.
But, like, here, and, like, you, like, talk about that as well, like, kids, like, I was reading a study, and I think, like, I learned this from you as well, like, based off your, like, thesis. Shout out to Isabella and her thesis.
Girl, that affected my mental health.
Just how much your teacher affects your mental health. Like, like, growing up, like, I was fortunate enough to, like, even though, like, most teachers in the post-school system, they're white. You know what I mean? They are white. And I was fortunate enough to, like, have teachers that really cared about me and showed that they cared about me, went out of their way to, like, learn my culture, learn my, like, religion, learn whatever about me, and, like, stuck their neck out for me, you know? I was fortunate enough, like, throughout my whole life. But as I was reading, like, your research paper, and just, like, looking more into the topic and, like, seeing that, like, white students benefit from having white teachers.
Yep.
But black students do not benefit from having white teachers.
Literally, they do not. And if the teacher is black, there's no preference. Both demographics, whether they're white, black, any other race or ethnicity, it was equal. They were taught the same. They were pretty much evaluated in the same way. Like, they ranked the same almost. There was no huge gap in between performance. But then when the teacher was white, so my studies on implicit bias, when the teacher was white and had high levels of implicit bias, the students who looked like them, so the teacher was always white in this study, they not only outperformed the black students in the study, but it wasn't like by like small margins. And basically, like, what the study was, the teachers had to teach a 15-minute lesson to these students, and then they would take a test afterwards. So what they found was that they were more patient. They would teach it in like different ways so that the student really understood the material they were learning. I mean, the power that a teacher has, they honestly should be getting paid as much as a doctor.
They should be getting paid a lot, and we could talk about that
a
gap
lot,
in another series. But just everyone knows it too. That's what pisses me off. Everyone knows teachers should get paid more. Everyone says it
exactly,
but where's the action? And that's an issue that every corporation, every major like company faces. You guys always assume like, yeah, we know, like, we will do better. We need to face these racial discrimination, right? Okay, now put actions behind your words, baby. That's all I'm asking for.
I mean, that's a great example. I really had to get into, mental health during quarantine, was because I was dealing with a lot, It was a lot. Mm-hmm. You can attest to that.
I can attest to that.
I would rant to you. And, like you said, it was a lot of people who were in the position to get a lot of things done, basically telling me, yeah, I can't do anything about it. Mm-hmm. I'm like, isn't that your whole job? And it started affecting me because, the thing with being a black student, I would say, in a predominantly white institution, is that speaking for myself, I already feel, I feel weird that I never see people who look like me in positions of power at this school. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's very rare. I had, I think, 2 professors so far that were black. Mm-hmm. And so, like, that already is a thing in itself. And I think that that's the same for younger children as well. Like, it took until college for me to even see, the first black teacher.
Really?
Yes, I never had one.
I don't know why I said really, because
yeah, exactly,
that's very common.
And my town is pretty diverse. Like, my classmates were all diverse, but the people who were in charge were not. And I mean, that's something that I think I never knew I didn't have to deal with. I just thought that that's the way that life was, and I kind of just had to put up with it. And, during quarantine, I really took time to get to know myself. I was like, okay, if people are making me feel this way, like, what if I, maybe through my actions, maybe through the way I've handled certain situations, maybe I've made someone feel the way that I'm feeling right now. Maybe it's a different situation. It might not be like a microaggression or racism, but it could be something that I, maybe hurt their feelings and stuff like that. So I try to be more cognizant of my behavior. Mm-hmm. I tried meditating over quarantine. I love doing face masks and having a glass of wine at the end of the night to just relax. Now I do have an addiction with Among Us, but I'm not kidding. It literally relaxes me, and it kind of takes me out of like feeling like this pressure. Like Ursa mentioned, this research paper that I did, I mean, I have never gone through like that cycle of emotions so fast in my whole entire life. First I was anxious, then I was scared, then I was like I wanted to cry. I felt like I did really bad at it, and then
Me think that's the normal way of life to go.
I know, but and then I kind of was like, I got to the point where I was like, I don't care, whatever grade I get is the grade I get.
I saw you go through all those emotions too. It was weird seeing it from like an outside, like seeing it go out. And I and I play a huge factor in this, joking around about like our deteriorating mental health. Like my way of coping is like laughing,
making
like
jokes.
Yeah, Izzy and I, like, we do that out loud. We're like, I hate it here.
We like to laugh at our pain.
Yeah,
literally.
yeah. But like definitely, like, if anyone's out there listening, right, and you're going through like a hard time, like, we just want to put this out there, like, definitely if you want to talk to us at any time, we're always open about anything. Or even if like you're not, like, say you're not going through anything, but you have like these questions about like things you want to talk about to someone, you're like, dude, hit us up. Like, definitely, I'm always open and talking about like social justice as well. Like,
if you have like advice for us, like if you see that we could be doing something better, let us know. We're always willing to grow, and
Yeah, and
I mean, that's a great point. Thank you for
like I always put it out there. Like, I know like a lot of people like aren't as accustomed to like their religion, like Islam and stuff, and like not knowing. So like I'm always like, if you have any questions about like the religion, like I'm not saying I'm the spokesperson, because I'm not the greatest Muslim out there. Like, let's relax. But like, if you have a question about the hijab, or if you want to, like, literally, I'm always open. I feel like a lot of people are like scared to like ask questions. In general,
well, let's talk about that. How do you? I mean, if you're willing to open up about this, but how do you feel about being a hijabi? Like, has that affected your mental health in any way? Like, maybe some instances of discrimination or racism, like how
in my life, or
like, I mean, we could keep it to like just the college experience if you want to talk about just in general. Like, let me hear about it.
Let me hear about it. Well, I think my thing is like, again, I've been fortunate enough to like, I keep saying this too, but like I haven't faced many like openly out there like discrimination like against my hijab, and like my hijab's really made me who I am, like
exactly.
You go through like those phases of like
the iconic outfits, guys.
Oh my god, no, you go through those phases of like wanting to be white. I don't know if any of my people of color like listeners could like feel this, but like when I was in middle school, hell yeah, I wanted to be a white girl. You know how much attention they got? You know how much attention they still get? Are you joking?
She's a Leo, y'all. She's a Leo.
like I was like, wow, if I could just like be white, like imagine how like so many things get off my plate, and like as I grew up like into like high school and stuff, and I got to like know who I was as a person, know like why I wear the hijab, know why like I am who I am, right? It's made me more confident, and then going to college dropped that. Like,
really?
So like now I'm cool. Like, I'm chilling, guys. Like, don't.
But in the beginning,
freshman year was the hardest thing ever, because I grew up literally like 10 minutes, not even, down the road from Quinnipiac. But it was a whole different world, because when I got here, everyone was staring at me. Everyone was looking at me, and I'm like, "What is going on?" I know I'm cute, but God, no, I'm kidding.
She said, "Do I have that much?"
Also, like, here's the thing. Like, for me, like, my thing is like, do they think I'm cute, or do they think I'm a terrorist? Like, where are we going? Like, what's the,
She's
what
like,
I mean?
You don't know what like the response is going to be.
Yeah, no, but that's just a joke. Like, that's not. No, actually, that does go through my head. But I'm just getting stared at, and like my orientation session, like, it was so great. I had a great time. I loved it. Like. But there was this one kid who was like, oh, like, towards the end of it, he's like, you're the first Muslim person I ever met. He was from Indiana. And he's like, you're the first Muslim person I ever met, to my face. And I was like, oh my God. Like, I don't know if that's a good thing. Is that a bad thing? Like, I don't know, like, what you want me to say to that. I was like, oh, really? He goes, yeah. And I'm like, shoot, he's not saying it's a good thing. He's not saying it's a bad, like, I don't know what the impression I made,
Yeah, but like that really, you bring up a great point, is that Quinnipiac, I've never seen a school where there's so many people who haven't been exposed to other people.
And like
unless they're from like New York.
I was so uncomfortable.
But everyone else, I mean, like, you know my roomie. Shout out my roomie. She told us that she went to high school with what, 2 black kids?
Yeah, I think it was 2 or 3.
Like, that's insane. That actually is crazy.
Yeah.
So, but it's weird. Like you said, it's those comments. I think they mean well, right? But it just comes off weird.
It was just like my whole first year here. Like, it was as a commuter, it was hard making friends. Like, and then you're getting stared at, and then you get like, and then like random. I don't know. Like, people think compliment. Like, I don't know if their compliments are just different from mine, but like being like called exotic is not like, I'm not like a bird,
That's not Guys, that's
Like,
not
it's
cute.
so-
Please do not say, "Ooh, you look exotic."
It's kind of
Please do
weird.
not
You
hit
know
us
what I
with
mean?
that.
So, like, it was a really big culture shock for me. And I was so annoyed because, like, I'm such an out there person. I love talking to people. So, like, that, like, brought my confidence down to, like, whoa, hold on. Let me, like, wait a minute. And it wasn't until, like, I started doing stuff for me where I started, and if you ask like my best friend from high school, like she goes to Quinnipiac too, like she knows like I changed a lot, like mentally wise, like of what I was aiming for. Because if you asked high school me, like if you said something, like I was like easily persuaded. So if I was like, oh my god, like look at this, and then someone was like, that's ugly. And I'm like, yeah, you're totally right. Like, never mind. But like, now I do whatever I want. You know what I mean?
Okay,
I do whatever the hell I
you.
want. I'm part of
backbone. Okay.
I said grew a little backbone to like as you grow up in college and as you grow up like as like a person of color, like you go through so many different like stages of your life.
Yep, I
right?
agree.
And
but that's a lot. And you know what I realized is that, you know, because I've been taking psych classes for 4 years straight now, and they never talk about, you know, mental health and like the cultural aspect of it. So what different minority groups go through depending on the time,
but here's
season.
the thing. We have mostly professors, right, who are white, right? And when they teach that, and this is not nothing against them because they have never been through the experience, but like, they automatically rely on the students of color to like tell us that. And like,
oh my god,
I'm like, you know, I'm open to talking about whatever, but like having to make a student relive their trauma of being like, when were you like racially profiled? Like, bro,
especially when there's
class,
people in the class who are trying to say that your experiences are not valid.
Yes.
Like, when I'm telling you, I have heard before that systemic racism is not a thing. Like, you would be surprised. And listen, I'm like, why did you take the class? You trying to hurt someone? Why did you take the class? You know what they're gonna come. You know what they're gonna say in this class.
People love saying don't bring politics into this. Listen, politics is what our life is at stake. Yeah. It's not bringing politics in, it's bringing human rights into it. You're fortunate enough to even say, like, why are you bringing politics into this?
We can't say that.
We can't say that. People's lives are at stake.
Exactly.
And so when you're saying, oh, like, why are you making your show political? No, I'm, like, just sticking up for basic human rights. And if you don't feel that way, you don't feel that way. But, like...
Exactly. No, but the thing that I don't understand is that I think that people of color kind of will be able to attest to this, is that because we go through our own struggles, it's easy for us to understand someone else's struggle. Like, when for example, like the pro-choice like debate that's going about, right? Like, oh, should it be a thing? Should they take away? Or even like taking away LGBTQ plus rights to be able to be married, like trying to backtrack stuff like that conversation. Even though I'm technically not like in it, like I can't speak on it, didn't go through that, I don't experience it. I feel for them. And if I know that a candidate, that's what they represent, it would make me at least have second thoughts, or at least be able to confidently say, like, they're not perfect, they're not 100%. You know what I mean? Like, I think that that's the problem. They think that it's either all Democrat or all Republican. Like, it has to be one. And I'm a little nervous about election season because I feel like that is going to have a huge impact on mental health.
Bro, my mom told me not to go to school on election day.
Isn't that scary?
She said that, like, make sure to, like, watch your back. But she's, like, my dad at one point, actually, like, I think it was when Trump was, like, getting elected. He, like, asked me, he goes, like, do you still want to wear the hijab? And I said, what is this question?
That's so sad that your dad had to ask you that.
Yeah, and I said, no, like, I'm chilling, I'm okay.
Because I'm assuming he was afraid for your safety.
Yeah. And, like, I have a cousin named Usama. Shout out to you, Usama. He used to actually go to Quinnipiac.
Hey, shout out
He used to be
Usama.
at this radio station, too.
Hey,
he had a show, yeah, funny enough.
Family legacy, okay.
I'm dead. But he used to, like, they're like, oh, do you want to, like, change your name from, like, Usama? Like, you know, like, he, like, kind of, like, took, like, what people would say to him, like, turn around and make it a joke, you know what I mean? It's, like, he told the people who would, like, come at him, like, being, like, trying to, like, make jokes at him about his name, like, oh, you terrorist, you, like, whatever, you Osama bin Laden, whatever, you know, those jokes, quote.
Yeah. Because it's not
it's not funny.
And, you know... Keep going. Finish your story.
Yeah, no,
I'm about to rant about...
but he would just take it around, and I'm like, you know what? Like, going through, like, me looking back about, like, seeing, like, what he went through, like, his mental health could be, like, way worse than it, like, should be. You know, he could have, like, took that as, like, like down, like
exactly.
And no one would blame him if he did.
Yeah.
But like, I seeing him as like such a like open person. He talks to anyone. He literally loves talking. Like, you think I talk a lot? No, he talks a lot. And like, just such an open, like, friendly person. Like, having to go through that, like, it's crazy. And so many people go through like this stuff and still like try their best, like, make everyone feel happy and welcome.
And here's the thing too, is that let's talk about the jokes thing and how it affects mental health, because I had this debate, I'm not gonna say argument, I had this debate with someone, with my friend, about whether or not, like, okay, so basically what he was saying was that I get offended easily, right? Because I don't laugh at certain jokes. So like like certain jokes that have like that are making fun of like someone with like a disability, or like talking about like, oh my, like the Kevin Hart skit about like my son can't be gay, like things like that I don't find funny. Like, I get it. Funny. I get it back in the time, like in 2009, whatever, those jokes were okay. People laughed at them. They still laugh at them to this day. I personally am not going to laugh. Am I going to get offended if someone's laughing at a comedy special like that was based back, you know, in 2009? It's not going to affect me.
I'm not going to lie. It would make me think a little differently.
Yeah, because I'm like, why do you find that funny? Yeah, but like, it's not going to affect me. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you find that funny. That's on you. I'm not going to try to control what makes you laugh. But I don't find it funny, right? And they were saying, well, it's just a joke. It's just a joke. And I'm like, okay, but, you know, some things you're allowed to joke about, I feel like, if it pertains to yourself. So, like, we make fun of our mental health, but I would never make fun of you.
Yeah.
For something, you know.
I know what you mean.
Like, I can make jokes about
my personal, like, issues
like, if
and stuff I'm dealing with. If
it's something I'm going through it, and it's like, it has to do with me, go ahead. I'm going to, you know, go off. Make all the jokes you want. But I just don't think that when you're, like, some of the jokes that they make isn't necessarily, like, it's, like, attacking, you know, other people. Like, the Kevin Hart skit where he's like, yeah, like, my son was, like, dancing around. I said, stop it. I had to, like, end it immediately because I don't want him to be gay. Like, like, why do you have to joke
Make
about?
It make sense,
yeah,
though. Like,
exactly.
someone can't dance. They can't openly, and that's where we're playing into men cannot show their feelings because they're so scared of, like, being called. And they used to call, like, some people still do, like, bros, you're gay as an insult. Like, that is someone, like, what? Like, it doesn't make sense to me because it's so messed up.
And you know what it is, too? Is that men have the highest suicide rates.
Yep.
So, there you go. And you know what? I know a lot of men who need to go to therapy. That they need it. They need to talk to someone. And the unfortunate part about me being so empathetic is that I can understand why people do certain things. So, like, someone can, like, do the worst thing to me ever, and I could still sit there and be like, okay, but I get it because they're going through this, and that. This could have impacted the way that they reacted, whatever. I'm so understanding, so I tend to try to be, like, the therapist for these people and end up just, you know, draining myself.
Okay, that's not your job.
I know it's not my job, but you know, I like toxic men. I think I could fix people, but
like, going off the Kevin Hart, like, that's still in my head. Like, as parents, I know Isabella and I aren't parents. Like, we know we don't have kids. God, not till a long time, please. Let me find a man first and get married. But
I don't even want kids.
Like, as parents, if you decide to have a child, you are supposed to give you brought them into this world. You give them unconditional love regardless. Regardless.
And you know what? I think people expect kids to come out and have the brain capacity of an adult.
Yep.
Like, the other day, I was, like, you know, in New Haven getting some cookies, and I literally saw a parent, like, screaming at this 3-year-old's face, right, to stop touching everything and touching his face. And I'm like, he's 3. He clearly doesn't understand, like, we're in a pandemic. It's not safe to be touching things and touching your face. But yelling at a kid and making them scared of you isn't going to make them open up to you. So I think that parents are the first people that kind of close that barrier for their kids to be open, to tell someone, to not be afraid to be wrong, to not be afraid to make a mistake. And I mean, like, I have that issue as well because, like, my parents are both pastors. So, like, there's this expectation of how I should behave
how I
should act. And my favorite line is, I did not choose to be a pastor. That is not my profession. That is not me. Yes, those are my parents' job. But we don't expect doctors' children to perform surgeries. Now do we? No, we don't. But yeah, like I was saying, I think that parents are the first people that can either open that door or close that door. And the people who have a more open relationship with their parents, I see them kind of carry less. Yes, they don't have that much of a burden on them because they have someone that they trust, has 100% their loyalty, wants the best for them. Like I think that like opening up to certain people also, like that's a little like dangerous. It's a little, you know, dangerous situation. Like you really got to trust that person. You know what I mean? Because some people, they claim to be on your team and be secretly rooting against you.
Yeah. So, which will never make sense to me.
Exactly. We talked about that last week. Like,
but here's the thing. Like, this is not to like even say like, oh, we don't trust our parents. We don't do this. Like, our parents grew up in a different like lifestyle, different time. Like, they're all
different country.
Yeah, people like.
Different
the people
norms.
that we see having these relationships with their parents grew up in America.
Exactly.
They had this like type of lifestyle. Like, you know what I mean? Like, my parents have the most love for me. Like, seeing what they do, everything, like whatever. Like, I see it, you know. But we're just like, we grew up so different.
Yes.
Like, even though like they're my parents and they like raised me, like going through like American culture, like I grew up like different. Like I'm like even I talked about this yesterday. Like, most like Muslim like girls that you see, like the demeanor they're supposed to have and the demeanor like the way they're supposed to act is like are really quiet and calm and like not overreactive. I'm the most dramatic person I know.
I'm dead.
Like, come on. Like, I'm constantly screaming, constantly making jokes, constantly cursing, even though I'm trying to stop. But, you know.
Now, do you think that affects your mental health? Like, because you know what the expectation is or what the stereotype is. Do you feel like people judge you? Like, do you feel some sort of pressure?
I've always felt pressure, and I think pressure also drives me. But, like, I feel like I get judged the most from my own my own community, if that makes sense. And it's not like saying like I just feel like since I'm not the way I'm supposed to be, like, and my mom actually lets me do whatever I want. You know what I mean? Like, she let me have this personality. You know, let me like be who I want, and it actually made me more confident in myself. Like, it let me be who I am and let me like really grow into myself. And I appreciate my mom so much for that, because I know there are a lot of girls who are like constantly like just like are to come down. You know what I mean? Like pressure down. So I don't know. Like, I feel like it's more of like my community being like, oh, why is she acting like that? It's not even like people my age. It's like old aunties. Like, what you doing out here? Like, let's relax. Like, come on. And I also grew up in like the aspect of like respect your older. So I will always have the utmost respect. Like, I don't get me wrong. But like, if you're disrespecting my mom, I'm gonna disrespect you. Don't come at my mom. Like, it's something about like, I don't, you know, and it just.
Yeah, I think I can agree with what you were saying earlier about how you feel judged a little bit by your own community. I would have to agree. You know what I used to hear all the time in high school? Now, you see the color of my skin, right? Mm-hmm. People would go up to me and say, "You're not black."
What?
They literally used to say that to me because I'm Brazilian and both my parents are Brazilian. But what they don't understand is that majority of Brazil is literally black people. And Brazil was the first place that the slave ships went to, but, you know, I guess I'm not black. But yeah, I used to hear that all the time. People would just say, "Oh, you're not black." Because, like, it's not the stereotypical, like ethnicity groups that, you know, like, I'm not African, I'm not Jamaican. So it's like, especially with the way that Brazil is portrayed in the media, it's very whitewashed. So I think I understand why they expect Brazilians to be white. But yeah, I don't know why they used to always say that to me, and it literally, I know, it used to hurt my feelings so bad, and I'm like, what do you mean? But I think that just growing up in a different culture, like inside your home, than what you're used to at school, I think also is a big player into mental health.
Huge player into mental health.
I feel like
how, like I was talking about earlier, how I perceive it. Like you said, like talking to like someone who you don't know, I still somehow feel like it will like somehow stab me in the back.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't even know where these trust issues came from. Like it's kind of, you know what I mean? But like, I still feel like even talking to
I've had some people backstab me before.
Talking to a random person, like, I don't know, it just doesn't make me feel comfortable. Talking about my feelings, right? Being so vulnerable, I can't do it.
But you know what? That's probably why you've never experienced it, because you only experience it when you open yourself up.
Yeah,
when you give them room to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the people that you least expect, or the people
oh my God, 100%.
The people that you hold to the highest regards are the ones to turn around and spit in your face.
Oh my God, wait, I lied. There was one person, but you know, like, that one hurt a lot, so I don't want to talk about it.
But let's talk about that too, how friends can have an impact on mental health. What is your opinion on that? Because I remember last week I was saying how, if someone's toxic, cut them off, and you were saying you're not like that. So do you think maybe that has impacted your mental health, or what are your thoughts about that in general, if you haven't experienced that?
About like a friend backstabbing you,
or just a friend impacting your mental health. So it could be on the other side of it, where they help your mental health.
I think my friends, actually, like, the people who I surround myself with, like, even if they're like not like my best friend, but like, you know, they always uplift me. I like to be surrounded by people who like have the same ambitions as me, same like goal type, you know what I mean? Goal oriented, like, you know, we're on, like, we're aiming for a goal, and I believe that my friend group, you know, like, we do that. Yep. I think that like we're like really on top of, like, not always on top of our stuff, but like we know what we want.
Exactly.
And so like when I get to see them, like, I didn't get to see my friends about for like 2 days, right? I didn't see you guys for 2 days, and it felt like years. It was weird because like I'm so happy when I'm with them. My friends even say this, like, when they ask me, like, I talked to a friend who's in Boston right now in nursing school, and he's like, how are you? I'm like, I am literally so like a mess. And he's like, what? Like, when I see you like on your private story, you seem so happy. I was like, that's because I'm with my friends. Like, my friends bring out like a side where I could like relax.
Yes.
Where I could just have fun and do whatever and like just relax and like do me, you know?
I think that you bring up a great point. And I didn't experience this since the beginning of my college career. Like, I've had some really great friends. I'm not going to say that I didn't have any great friends, but I had some really great friends. Yeah. But when you find your clique, like your squad,
our clique,
like, oh yeah, that's our favorite terminology, by the way. Refer to us as the clique. No, but seriously though, when you find your close friends, like, all right, these are the people that I ride for, like, these are the people that I confide in. You know, it's a nice experience. You guys go through a lot together, and it's like there isn't just like one other person in this friendship. So we're able to, when I have something that I know that Ursa might be very wise on, right? She could speak on it. You know, I'll confide in her. I'll get her advice, her perspective, and it's nice, you know, because like you said, you don't go to therapy, but we're basically each other's therapists, you know? We call each other, we vent, the other person just sits on the line and listens, gasps here and there, because, you know, our dramas are always juicy. And then we get over it.
You guys all have, like, same, like, even though we talk to, like, B, you know, like, she'll be like, so, like, what happened? And I'm like, let me tell you. Like, I'll go off, and she'll be like, they'll just listen, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes you don't need someone to, like, give you a solution.
Yes.
You just need someone to let you rant, and you're good. Like, let me rant, and, like, we're good, and let's vibe. Like, I was, this is so sad. Like, I forgot to tell you and V this, but, like, I was looking at this TikTok I made, like, last year, and we were in the pandemic, well, not last year, but, you know, pandemic time school last year. And I was like, Corona, my caption was like, Corona, can you be over? Like, I wanted to just do, like, stuff with my friends. And it's like a video of us just, like, having a good time, sitting on the floor in, like, Soph's room, like, just singing, and, like, we're at Chipotle, like, doing, like, weird stuff. Like, it's just, like, it was so cute. And, like, I was like, dang, like, Sophia, Barbara, like, where are y'all at? Where's Izzy? Where's, you know what I mean? Where's Gina? Saying, like, just, like, me just saying everyone's name when we said we weren't going to say names. But, like,
I know.
I said,
shout out to the girls.
Yeah, like, I just miss my friends. Like, they make me a better me. They make me happy.
Yes, I have to agree that the only thing that is keeping my mental health, like, up, like, not below average, is having you guys, like, you know, you guys get me out of my room, you guys make me laugh, make me go to like insomnia like 10 p.m. at night. You know, we eat a lot of Chipotle.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, I think it's finding what makes you feel like you don't have a worry in the world. Finding what makes you feel safe, finding what makes you feel happy. And you might not be able to have that 24/7, but then when you do, you'll treasure it, you know, and it will motivate you and get you through your troubles if you remember the good times, the good things that are happening. So, like, yeah, I'm in a pandemic and social justice issues are, you know, out of control, but my friends take me to Chipotle.
Well, like, and here's the thing, like, people, like...
We have 1 minute left or so.
Oh,
that's what I was
like,
trying to signal to you.
I was like, hold on, what? People think that, like, you need a man, to me always say, like, where's my man? But, like, to make you happy, but, like, you just gotta find, even if it's one person or even if it's, like, 5 people, like...
Find your friends, y'all.
Find your friends.
Find your
people
people
who ride for you, and you'll ride for them.
Yep.
And, like, I can't say this enough, like, you gotta find your people. Find your people, bro.
Exactly. So if you learned anything from this podcast, it's to
find your people.
Thank you so much
and
for
we'll be
tuning
your people
in.
if you
don't have anyone.
Yeah, we got you.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Sorry for the little technical difficulties in the beginning, but we can't wait to see you guys next week. Send us any suggestions for topics. Have a great night.
Bye.
And I was like, why are you so obsessed with me?